The going extinct dinosaur legacy media is calling on Disney to step into politics once again. Calling all troops, calling all troops. They've got the scoops and they want Disney to grab a shovel. Today we'll tell you why it would be an awful decision for Bob Iger and the rest of the Disney C-suite to follow the guidance of The Guardian out of the UK and hop back into the fray of US politics. Hello and howdy, folks. It is a wonderful day coming to you from a studio in sunny USA. And, we are so happy that you are here. As we get started, click the like button and we'll tell you why Disney should be far away from anywhere near politics, getting away from Orange Man Bad, the battle between conservatives and Democrats and all of that. No! Be a company aimed at the mainstream middle, the sensible center where money is made. If they do that, they'll print Mickey Mouse cash. We'll tell you all about it. We'll tell you fast right now. Now, folks, before we get to the article, I just want to give you an idea of The Guardian, okay? And listen, I'm telling you right now, if you don't know how bad things are in Europe, Europe needs saving. Freedom of press, freedom of expression, freedom of speech. I know there are, in many of the countries, guarantees do not exist. But a bedrock of Western society, of Western civilization over the last 300 years has been the idea that you can express yourself, that the individual has a right of expression. That is under severe threat. And so this is coming out of the UK, and this is by Jeff Yang. So before we read the article that's out there from The Guardian, I just want to read some of Jeff Yang's contributions to The Guardian. And Jeff Yang is he's out of the United States, I believe out of LA. The latest one is, Dear Disney, don't cave to Trump. We need you to shape dreams for kids everywhere. Well, that's terrifying. There's a Mr. Beast article, but let's go back. August 2024, Jeff Yang wrote, Kamala Harris' rise has energized many Asian Americans. Could these unmeasured voters swing battleground states? From July 2024, Republicans cheer for mass deportation, a dark new chapter in America's history of othering them. He goes on, he wants you to know that he's not Jeff Chang, who is famous and he's not. March 2022, critics be warned, Turning Red is defiantly Asian and female, and there's more to come.
How can somebody be defiantly any race? That's weird.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Jeff Yang, okay? Let's also share real quick, going to media bias fact check, all right? The Guardian is to the left. And on factual reporting, The Guardian is labeled as mixed.
No, they're not mixed. They're defiantly white.
Yeah. They're not very high on factual reporting. They're not high. They're not mostly factual. They're mixed, which is one step above low. All right. All that said, here's the message from Jeff Lang and The Guardian out of the UK. Bastions of free speech, nay. It says, Dear Disney, don't cave to Trump. We need you to shape dreams for kids everywhere. And then uses Mulan, which Mulan is the movie, not the animated version, but the live action that was written. Folks, I'm being serious here. Mulan, the live action film that was a disaster for Disney, was co-written by the CCP. And it was filmed next to camps that you don't voluntarily go to and you'd never want to be in. So that's the image it shows.
Do they make orange juice in those camps?
So
I got that.
Me too. I don't want Disney to shape kids' dreams. I want parents to do that. That's what I would like. I want your family to shape your kids' dreams, and I want your kids to dream what they want to dream. I don't need a faceless corporation to do that. You can love Disney, you can love Walt, you can love the traditions and the values it espoused, you can love the Americana that was associated with it. Folks, don't hand your kids and their aspirations over to faceless corporation. It's a bad idea, right? I don't do that with Coca-Cola. I don't have a problem with Coca-Cola, but I don't tell my kids to dream based on what Coca-Cola tells them. That would be stupid. It says, I remember the moment I truly recognized the power Disney has to move young hearts and minds. Uh-oh. It was when I attended a sneak preview of Disney's adaptation of the Chinese legend of Mulan about a young woman who disguises herself as a man and takes up her wounded father's sword to defend her nation. it says, it reminded me that Disney doesn't just tell stories. It shapes dreams, creating heroes iconic enough to inspire young kids to imagine and be more, and providing empowering figures that enable people from different backgrounds to see themselves and one another. Now, what is it that Disney is supposed to inspire kids to be for or against, according to this writer? It says, it's still staggering for me to think that Mulan, a story from China with a gender-blurred title role, was greenlit, made and released in 1998, is now broadly accepted alongside Bambi as a timeless animated classic. Especially now that MAGA has announced it's coming after the House of Mouse with the apparent objective to make sure that nothing like it is ever made again. What? Guys and girls, I got a feeling that there is not a single person involved in anything related to the Trump political movement that ever considered the animated version of Mulan when they were crafting their aspirations. It says on the 27th of March, the Trump-appointed Federal Communications Commission Chair, Brendan Carr, a dead ringer for Who Framed Roger Rabbit's mirthless toon terrorizer Judge Doom. Just pause there for a minute. If you take an official over a department, anybody, and your comparison to them is Judge Doom, like, you live in a cartoon, man. You live in a cartoon. The way you see the world is a cartoon. Sent a letter to Disney CEO Bob Iger informing him that he had directed the agency's enforcement bureau to begin an investigation of Disney's DEI policies. Now, it goes on to say, it's hard to explain why any of these discriminatory or invidious voluntary employee-led clubs, which have no restrictions or requirements for membership, are discriminatory. Yep. If you were, folks, you know what this is talking about? If you were a black employee of Disney, they threw you into a Wakanda group. You know how insulting that must be? Hey, you have this color skin, so you're in Wakanda now.
It wasn't even the cool Wakanda from the comic books. It was the Afrofuturist Wakanda they made up for the movies.
So it goes on to talk about how if Disney complies with the U.S. federal government, that it's going to spell business disaster for Disney. It goes on to defend Snow White and claims that the MAGA mob came after poor Rachel Zegler. This is a person who's advocating for Snow White. You talk about being tone deaf to any kind of market pressure. Defending Snow White and saying that the MAGA mob took it down. Yeah, listen, you don't have the kind of failure of Snow White unless nobody goes to see your movie. Nobody. But let me say this, because we're not going to dive into the whole thing. It would be a very boring video if I sit here and read this. And frankly, it would be insulting to your intelligence. And I mean that. And we don't normally say it. This is what I believe to be a broader propaganda effort to try to convince Disney and bellow wind into their sails that they should fight back and continue to be political. I think that would be disastrous for Disney. I think that remaining in politics is a horrible idea, and the only reason that people such as this have a soapbox to pretend they care and to call Disney to continue to be in politics is because Disney entered into it in the first place. Yep. It was bad then, it's bad now. Disney should get out. And when I say that, I want people to understand that I'm not saying that Disney should stop being a diverse place. I'm saying that Disney should be a place where a diversity of ideas and opinions and worldviews is possible. And as a result, a kaleidoscope of humanity is apparent inside their company naturally. Get rid of the quotas based on immutable differences and get out of the politics. Panel, what say you?
It takes a certain level of hubris to tell a major corporation, don't worry about making money, keep failing. Because let me tell you something. We did an article on this. It was not ultra MAGA people that made Snow White fail. In actuality, red counties performed better than blue counties when it comes to Snow White as far as movie theaters go. So right away, he's completely out of his mind. The gender stuff about Mulan, it's a disguise. She's in disguise, you moron. It's as gender fluid as Mrs. Doubtfire or Tootsie was. Stop it. That's absolutely absurd and ridiculous. This is just somebody who has no actual concept of how the world works, trying to talk about how the world works.
And they take away from the fact that Mulan was, the animated version was an adaptation of a real story, of a true story.
Yes.
Mulan was a real person, and there was no transgenderism whatsoever in that era when Mulan existed. And to inject that in there, like Disney was creating some kind of LGBTQ, cartoon in the late 90s. It's just stupid.
Based,
Well,
based on
the
China.
Wokies
Based on
hate
China.
Mulan for that reason, because they're like, it should have been about that.
Right, but it could never be allowed because it's a Chinese mythos.
Yeah.
And
You know,
China
yeah.
is never going to. I mean,
And leave it to them to pervert it. That's all these people ever do, is pervert anything that's actually good and disorder it and distort it. And we're sick of it. So, you wonder why no one's showing up to your movies or really spending money in your theme parks. It's because of this BS. We don't want it, and you can't force me to accept it. So get over it. And my kids are my kids. I will instill in them what I want to, and there's not a dang thing you can do about it. And get over it. Just suck it up.
Right. Stop using a corporation
I'm their
to
mother.
control your
Amen.
idea of their dreams. Kevin, go ahead.
Amen. Listen, this petulant child does what these weirdos do. They completely and totally remove the actual context of what's happening, right? Case in point, the Mulan is now magically about transgenderism when we didn't have that in the 90s. I mean, we had it, but we didn't have like this in the 90s. It's MAGA people who were screaming about Rachel Zegler. Everybody on the planet was screaming about Rachel Zegler. This guy just wrote 1,000 paragraphs of sheer nonsense to throw a temper tantrum because he's upset that Disney learned a very hard lesson. And now, is Disney going to get out of politics? No, I don't think so, because I don't really think they've admitted defeat. They just understand that it's not going to go their way, and they don't really have the money, right? They went after, just for a term of endearment, they went after Timu Trump in the form of DeSantis, and it cost them what, a couple of $1 trillion over the next batch of years. Disney is in trouble. Disney knows they're in trouble. They can't actually afford to champion this lunacy, and it's people like this that are. See, this is one thing else. My brain was exploding the entire time you were reading this article because it does make a lick of sense. Anytime you throw logic at these people, they just do this stuff.
Well, Kevin, let me explain it. It's the idea that you're going to take a corporation to bypass the parents in order to engineer the children that you wish to have as a political class in the future. That's the way it works.
I get it. It's all about recruitment and just obfuscation. But I think the lesson that people need to pull from is this: people want a return to normalcy. They want to be able to enjoy things with their kids. They want their kids to have the ability to be kids. I think the one thing that Gen Xers always talk about, especially when we talk about Gen Z and what do we call it, Gen Alpha, is that we went outside. Our parents didn't have to helicopter over us. We got into many an adventure that no one will ever know about. And you know what? It was pretty much a strong survive. If you didn't come home, you were an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Other than that, you went on and carried on.
That's right. We had a whole generation that didn't have to be told to touch grass.
I still
Disney
have nightmares from Unsolved Mysteries. I still have nightmares.
Oh man,
that's as creepy as Are You Afraid of the Dark? Gives me the heebies to the jeebies. Go ahead, Joe.
I just wanted to point out that Disney is going through their own little confused segment, just like Li Shang in Mulan. Poor guy. He was so confused throughout the film, and like he was angry for a little bit, but you could tell he was really relieved at having all of those feelings for or whatever he was working through dissolved by the end of the film. I think that Disney needs to realize that that whatever they were conflicted about in the past, no. It's all going to be fine. Just go back to your original worldview, and everything's going to be all right. And don't worry about what they say when they say that they'll make a man out of you.
Now, I do. That's really well done. I do want to say this. The reason we're talking about this today, the reason this article is something that managed to percolate its way into our stories is because if this was some rando journalist, editorialist, etc., writing, who cares? I've got sources, and I'm going to enter into rumor and speculation territory for a moment. My sources say that Disney leadership right now is not happy. They are bitter. They are very, very bitter about the current situation of politics, what happened with the election, etc. And from a financial standpoint, they should not be involved in politics. From an ego standpoint, they can't stand it. And it's increasingly difficult for them to stay out of it. And these kinds of articles, I think, are intended to try to convince them, get back in. You just missed. Get back into the politics. You can do it. That's that's why we're discussing it. Ron, let me give you the final word on it. Your thoughts.
It's a tremendously false premise in the title itself. Trump is not the cause. Trump is the effect of the American people. So when what he's really saying is, dear Disney, don't cave to the vast majority of people who want normalcy back. That's basically what he's really saying, because Trump didn't cause any of this. Trump is a response to what so many people have wanted, not just in this country, but honestly, when you speak to people from around the world, actually it's from around the world. People want normalcy. People want to parent our own children, for example. We are the ones who want to make the direction that our kids' lives are going to go. And it used to be that you could maybe sit down your child in front of the animated Lion King and be totally cool with what they're going to watch and not even worry about it. Oh, you watch the animated Lion King, you're going to get a great lesson about the circle of life and blah, 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 and all this. And it's fine. Then you start to inject very, very strange messages into, for example, Strange World, I guess appropriately titled. Nobody wants that. And this guy, people like him, Gang, appropriate name, live in such a tiny bubble of their world. They really, truly, I think some of these people actually believe that their tiny little bubble of the world they exist in is the worldview of everybody. And it's so not true. And what happened with the election is that they're disappointed to find out that they're absolutely wrong in their at least in their belief that they're the majority. They're not. We've shown it, and it's not that the majority are like very, very far to the right. It's very, very simple. We just want, as you like to say, Pro, the sensible center, right? Where everybody can enjoy. Everybody can enjoy Mulan. Everybody can enjoy The Lion King. Everybody can enjoy Beauty and the Beast. That's all we want, is stories that everybody can enjoy and that people can feel very comfortable putting their kids down in front of.
And just to expand that a little bit, and I guess hammer that home, Ron, because you're exactly right. I don't know if I can do a better job in even adding this because of how well you said that. But think about this, folks. You know, the two sides of America live in two different worlds. The left sees the world one way, the right sees it the other way. The blue states operate as a completely different country than the red states, and the purple states are somewhere in between. But when I go to buy a product, and I hope this rings, if you're a viewer on the left or the right, I hope this makes sense. When I go to buy a soda, I don't think, well, I'm going to buy a Coca-Cola because it's the conservative soda. And I don't buy Pepsi because I think, well, that's the liberal or the leftist soda. When I go to buy construction equipment, I don't think, I'm going to go to Lowe's because that's the liberal company. I'll go to Home Depot because I think, folks, listen, the idea that you would cause your corporation to be perceived that way eliminates half of your customers. It's insanity for Disney to be in politics because it eliminates half the potentiality for success. The more they do it, the more it hurts them, because the only question is, how much do those who disagree with Disney know that they disagree with Disney? And how much does that eliminate them as potential customers? You know, it's always sad when one of these videos ends, and yet it is the beginning of the wait for the next one to land. 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. And by the way, there's plenty more on our partner channels. That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place. And go check out the original music we have on stations like Vacation Radio. We'd love to have you, love to entertain you. At least we'll do a better job than some of the current entertainment companies. Folks, like, share, subscribe, And you know what? Drop a comment right on down below. Share this out anywhere you go on social media. And until the next time, we have the honor, the pleasure of getting to spend time with you when you choose to invite us into your day to add the value that we hope to bring your way. We ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah.
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio.
Arizona. Pineapple pizza, Hawaiian asphyxia. Can't wait to be up 3 days of you and me.
What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.